now. Listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
Ooh.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody. Showtime.
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
Good afternoon. It's 7 minutes past the top of the hour here on 99.3 FM The Truth. Wow, what a great, incredible, power-packed first hour. So much so that it almost spilled into the second hour, but we did have to let Ed Timberlake go. And can we get Tom's mic on, please? Thank you.
I want to say one thing, because we had some conversations with him, as you know, off the air.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Frank wanted to mention, and we didn't get to, was what he thought of the potential October surprise, the WikiLeaks dump that Assange has coming out. I know you weren't in on the phone call.
I was not.
But he said he feels very strongly that this is going to happen. He said his investigation, he went down to Arkansas investigating the book back in the 90s. He said there's a lot of people that are very convinced that there's loose ends that become too troublesome or eliminated with the Clintons. It goes back to Arkansas, a lot of dead bodies down there. And he says that Assange probably believes that at this point, the only chance he has for survival is to get Donald Trump elected. It's not that he's partisan, but the Clintons have an enemy list. Juanita Broderick said the other day that she feels for her life if Hillary gets elected, and he says, I think Assange would be eliminated if Hillary gets elected as well.
Well, didn't she mention something about flippantly talking about hitting Assange with a drone strike?
Exactly right. He mentioned that off the air, too. So I wanted to kind of wrap that up, because that would, if we'd had another segment, that would have been good to get into that as well.
Well, as many of you know, we rebroadcast a program, one of the hours from our weekday program on Mac's World. We broadcast it live on Saturday. So I think we're going to do that previous hour. So if you missed any of the conversation that we had with Ed Timberlake in the first hour, tune in this Saturday at noon, and you're going to be able to hear that whole broadcast again. We're going to re-air that. A lot of interesting information. You can look Ed Timperlake, Timberlake, Ed Timberlake, up online. Check out his credentials, who he is. Incredible guy. He's authored several books. Has a lot of inside knowledge. There were so many things we wanted to talk about with him. We just really ran out of time, to be honest with you. And there's a lot of other things we want to talk about. Again, Mac is the only person from the regular cast of characters that is not here today, but that's okay, because as Mac often says, it's your voice we want to hear. It's your show, so what do we need Mac for? Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, is here. He's watching the chat and the Service Legends text line. You can send us a text at 515-809-0993. Frank is here. Tom Coates, you going to stick around for a little while?
I'm going to stick around for a little while.
Fantastic. We bumped into our special guest today, Pastor James Weaver from New Hope Assembly right here in Urbandale. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
That's a long trip all the way from the church to the studios here.
1 minute and 34 seconds.
Wow. When that was jogging, you ran that, right?
In my dreams.
Well, that's absolutely wonderful to have you here. I think this is your first time on Mac's World.
Absolutely.
Well, we hope that you have a wonderful experience, and then it's not your last time. We hope that you enjoy it so much that you'll want to come back again, especially being so close.
Well, thank you.
In fact, it was just yesterday that Pastor Luke Tim of Living Faith Lutheran Church was on our broadcast yesterday, and this is one of my favorite stories. We're in the middle of the broadcast, we're in the middle of the segment, that studio door busts open with a man screaming, "You're wrong! You're all wrong!" And it was Pastor Luke Tim who had to come in and correct us. So if we ever get into any kind of theological error, if you're listening and you think those guys, you're a minute and a half away, just run over here, bust through the door. That's wrong. That's heresy. Just stop it right there. That's absolutely fantastic. So, no, it's good to have you here, Pastor Weaver. Now, we're going to talk about a couple things going on coming up pretty soon. This Sunday night at New Hope, you're going to have a comedian.
Yes, Brad Stein, one of my favorites.
He's a funny dude.
He's very funny. First time I saw him, I think, was years and years ago at a Promise Keeper event, and everybody was totally in stitches. I don't think he was known to a lot of us at that time, with about 50,000 people in the stadium, I believe. I don't remember if it was Minneapolis or Kansas City, but one of the others. And since then, I've followed him, and so I read that he was going to be here. Is it Tuesday night at the
the Informed Choices banquet, right?
Exactly,
Informed Choices,
which we're very supportive of the Informed Choices clinic and so
Absolutely.
forth. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice, as he's going to be here, if we could have him come and be at our church and invite the community to come in. So I gave him a call, and or actually, I didn't call him. I had someone email him, and through a series of emails that he's coming. So we're excited.
That's exciting.
It's free. It's going to be a free will offering. So 6 o'clock this coming Sunday night, October 9, New Hope Assembly. There, I think our address is 4425 70th, but I'm not positive.
Bob is good at Googling stuff. He'll do that.
Yeah, we have two addresses because our original building is on Townsend. That's where our offices are.
Right,
But our
okay.
main campus now is right on 70th north of the Urbandale football field.
That's right. Yeah, very very easy to find location, though.
Not
Absolutely.
too hard.
Not hard at all. Okay, so that's tonight. Brad Stein's going to be at the church.
No, Sunday night. 6
I'm sorry,
o'clock.
Sunday night. Thank you so
Sunday
much,
night at
Pat.
6 o'clock, yep.
I got a little bit distracted. We've got a caller. I don't know if you guys want to put your headphones on real quick. We do want to honor any call that we get in. And this is Gary calling in from Pleasant Hill. Hey, Gary, how you doing, bud? Apparently, Jeb is distracted. We're going to go to Gary. Hey, Gary, how's it going?
It's going good. I just wanted to comment on the last guy that you had on. I know you moved past him, but the guy that had the two books out, I missed the first part of that, but he was talking about Iraq and how they're we need to keep standing on the rooftops and just screaming in an election year about what's going on over there. They're saying, oh, well, this is just political stuff. It's not. These people are deteriorating our country. We have to do something to stop it. And you guys are kind of nonchalant, too. It's like, okay, well, let's get to this program. It's like, well, if we don't get this stopped, there won't be a next program because these people are going to ruin us.
You talking about the terrorist threat? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, but it's all very factual. What he said is right on the money. And people just shrug it off like, oh, well, we'll go to Jimmy's soccer game or whatever. It's like, these guys are after us, man.
No, and I don't know if you get the level of interest we have in this subject of terrorism, but I think we've spent an awful lot of time over the months about this and the increased threat we have with the gentleman we have in the White House, who was probably the least prepared to take that office of anybody in modern times. And yet he is a smart guy, and as our last guest said, an activist who you've got to say is not just incompetent, but intentional on increasing these threats. So I appreciate your input on that.
Well, and then, Gary, just quick, we were told that Obama wouldn't be able to get that 3 a.m. phone call, and somebody who said that she would know what to do with that 3 a.m. phone call got it, and she rolled over and hit the snooze button and went to sleep. So let's vote for her, not...
Hey, but just one more thing. In an election year, we have like 30 or 40 days to make this decision. And this is not garbage. This is really what's happening in our world. And people have to stop and really use their head this time.
Hey, Gary, thank you so much for your call, and thanks for listening, bud. Appreciate it very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks. Gary called in at 515-244-0077. You can do that, too, anytime, any comment. And just like Gary was not exactly on topic, we kind of moved on from that a little bit, but that's okay. We want to hear from you at 515-244-0077. You can also send us a text on the Service Legends text line at 515-809-0993. Our good friends at First Call Bail Bonds remind you, don't text and drive. Hey,
really?
Yeah, that's a free one for Dan.
Free one. No, I
Thanks,
have the
Dan.
church. I have the main building address from your website. It says 4425 70th.
Ah, good. I was
So
right.
you were right.
It's pretty surprising.
You just know how to get there.
I just work there. I just my car goes there unless I tell it to go somewhere else. It's subconscious.
I understand that, how that works, autopilot. Well, Pastor James Weaver is our special guest this second hour, and I want to read something he posted on Facebook here, if I can. I'm going to get you in trouble now. See, you didn't think Facebook would get on the internet.
Oh, go ahead. Read
but
it.
it's right there. So we're talking about politics, which happens, for some reason, Tom, anytime you show up, We talk about politics, and that's okay. That's all right.
Well, it's exactly the reason we need Brad Stein this Sunday night at 6 o'clock. We do need to still laugh.
We do, yes. And Brad Stein is a good guy to get us to laugh about sometimes the heavy stuff. He doesn't miss on the heavy stuff. No. But Pastor James Weaver, you mentioned this on Facebook, and I'm going to read this best I can. As Christians, we are called to love. While much of America seems to be getting more and more divisive, I'm going to be holding doors for strangers, letting people cut in front of me in traffic, greeting all I meet, exercising patience with others, and smiling at strangers. I'll do this as often as I have the opportunity. I will not stand idly by and let children live in a world where unconditional love is invisible and being rude is acceptable. I will not bash political candidates, but pray for them. They can do their bashing, and perhaps others will bash with them, but not me. Enough hate. Be the real church, walk in love, and prefer one another in love. Remember John 3:16. Join me in showing love and respect to others. Find your way to swing the pendulum in the direction of love. Please pray, because sadly, hate is gaining ground. Love must begin somewhere, and love will overcome hate. Imagine the difference if we each purposefully love a little more. Let love begin in you. Please. I love the end. Please. As Pastor James Weaver said that on Facebook, and here we're talking about politics, and we've had Pastor Weaver, we had Drew Zahn sit in the chair that you're in from the Family Leader. We've had Greg Baker sit in there, and the Family Leaders organization is a Christian organization that is involved in the civic arena quite a bit, and they too have found that this election cycle, probably maybe more so than a lot of others, Christians have really started to attack each other. It's one thing when the world out there, the non-believing world, participates in hate, they participate in slander, they participate in mudslinging, but when Christians start joining into it, we're just going against what we've been called to do. Would you agree?
Well, sometimes we forget that it's not a political candidate that is what we need to save us individually or as a nation, to bring us back to a God-centered biblical worldview and moral path. It's just that we need to have the reality of God in us as believers. I mean, our world is in trouble, not because of politics, but because of pulpits. Our world is in trouble because we'd rather have attendance and money in church than speak the truth in church. And therefore, we have a generation that has strayed from the truth, that has a form of religion but denying the power of God, as Paul told says, in the last days it'll be like that. I believe that's to Timothy. And so we really are getting a little too caught up with who wins this election. In one sense. In another sense, I understand it and I'm okay with it. But being a pastor, my job is to keep people centered, that the real answer is that God is full in our lives and that we truly are salt and light. I mean, how do you blame a blind person that doesn't understand biblical views and Christ and truth, moral values, etc.? How can you blame a blind person for being blind? That's exactly what the Bible says. There's a kingdom of this world who is the prince of this air, who is Satan, and his tool is lies. He said, he is a liar and the father of lies, Christ said, and he uses those lies, deception, and we have a lot of people that are blind, and what they need is a light. And Jesus said, you're the light, I'm the salt. So that's exactly what we need to focus on as a church. As individuals, we should be politically active and everyone has their right to express themselves. But I just wish they'd be kind and express why are they for their candidate as opposed to hating the other candidate and bashing the other candidate. It might be a good thing to simply give ourselves to.
Okay, hang tight.
We went into a break. We're coming back.
Part way through.
That was not your fault. Hey, good afternoon. It's 4:21 in the afternoon on a Wednesday. Boy, it is a Wednesday. It's the middle of the week, you know. Wednesdays are far, far more entertaining than you might imagine, really. We've got regular cast of characters are here. Jeb is producing. Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, is watching the chat. Frank's here. Tom Coates is sticking around. Tom,
well, you can blame me for that last mix-up if you want to.
All right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it. The very humble man. It was all Tom Coates' fault. It was all Tom Coates' fault. But we kind of missed the break. We were so enthralled in what our guest today, Pastor James Weaver, was saying that we just completely missed the fact that you guys were listening to great commercials, probably telling you about Culligan Water Systems or something else, but we missed that. So James Weaver is our guest. He's a pastor of New Hope Assembly of God, and this Sunday night, comedian Brad Stein is going to be at their church. What time? Do you remember what time that starts?
6 o'clock, 4425 70th, right, in Urbandale.
In Urbandale, yep.
North of the football field, just there on 70th.
Fantastic.
South of Meredith.
South of Meredith, just a little bit, right south of the graveyard where I want to be buried. The only problem is they have no more plots available.
Is that right?
Yeah, anybody got 2 plots there, I'd love to buy them from them.
Well, there you go.
There I go.
Well, we just call if you
maybe
have.
you could get cremated and they stick you in a little splot on the corner there. You know?
I don't want to get cremated.
No.
I want people to look at my body and feel sorry for me.
Well, you heard it here. If you've got 2 available plots at that graveyard, you give us a call, 515-244-0077, and we'll get you connected with Pastor James Weaver. We were talking just before we went to the break here, Pastor Weaver, that as Christians right now, we do need to vote. Voting is important. Getting involved in civics, getting involved in government is important. But let's not try to gain the whole world and lose our very soul. As Christians, I think, Pastor Weaver, maybe you agree with this, we have to be called to a different standard. We have to be called to a higher standard. You know, if Donald Trump becomes president, okay, if Hillary Clinton becomes president, okay, you may or may not be happy with that. But as Christians, we still have to be able to get up on November 9th and love our neighbor, no matter what happens, right?
Well, that's exactly what I was saying. I'm not sure where the commercial broke in there, but basically is that as a pastor, as a church, as we're Christians first. And it's just, how are you going to, if the person you're against gets elected, how are you going to pray for them? How are you going to go on if you have such venom and hate that I'm hearing around our country? Both sides. It's not one or the other. I think it's both sides. Absolutely. Now, it's not everybody on both sides, so don't take it personal if you're listening, because some people get it. To be kind, you can be politically active, express your opinion. That's all good. But remember, if you're a follower of Christ, then what really matters is there's a darkness, there's an enemy that lies, and we're the truth. And so, if we don't live that truth, if we're not full of grace and we're not full of light, how can the darkness that doesn't understand benefit? So our culture's in trouble, not because, as I was saying, not because of politicians, but because of pulpits that are silent or have watered down their message because of money and attendance. And what we need more of is the truth in love, and that's what we need in all of our churches in America. That'll change us, not the president.
Tom?
Let me, and Pastor Weaver, good to see you again. It's been some years. I enjoyed my couple times I've been over to your church. You run a very good operation.
Well, we appreciate you coming over there and telling people about consumer credit, and all that you guys do for helping people.
And we've got a mutual friend in common, Donnie Atchison, an old friend of mine.
He's one of the greatest men of integrity I've ever known.
Built my house back in '92, and he and I ran track together back in high school on the same relays.
And I'm sure he's faster than you, right?
Well, he might be today. He wasn't then. He might be today. But let me ask you real quick. In the debate last night, I don't know if you watched the debate, but the very last segment went to the area of faith. And we talk about other things, terrorism, and that obviously has faith implications as well. But the area of faith, and when it came to Mike Pence, he talked about his strong Christian faith, his belief in the sanctity of life. He highlighted the late-term abortions. He said, I feel bad for Senator Kaine because he's in essence more of a pro-life guy than not, and yet now he's hooked to one of the most activist pro-abortion candidates to hit the street for a long time, and that's Hillary, and also the existence of Barack Obama. On an issue like that, do you ever feel like speaking out from the pulpit? Do you ever want to get involved and have your 2 cents in on an issue like that?
Yeah, the way I approach that as far as politics is concerned is to let the individuals choose themselves, because there's more things involved always in every election that is biblical. Caring for the poor, being sexually pure. There's just a lot of things involved across the board, and I have some thoughts on all of this, but as a pastor, I'm not going to get people charged up against me because it silences my voice, and my voice is not primarily a political realm. I'll leave that to other venues of organizations and so forth that are Christians, but I do say that I'm very strong to say, when there's a clear-cut choice that you have a godly candidate that is standing up for morals, it's a good thing to say you need to vote biblical. But that's about as far as I'm going to take it at this point.
Well, Pastor Weaver, too, one of the things, and Frank will go to your point, but and one of the challenges that we all face is being involved in politics, which is a very dirty game, no matter what's going on, unfortunately, but not giving up our soul, as I said, not losing our love for our neighbor. Can we love the if we're Donald Trump supporter, can we love the Hillary Clinton supporter? If we're Hillary Clinton supporter, can we love the Donald Trump supporter? The answer, of course, should be yes. But I've seen, unfortunately, too many times Christians get in those fights and turn against one another. And really, I would agree with you. I think that's the enemy winning at that point, and no political party is worth that.
This is why I put the Facebook post up, is that I just want to remind everyone, God so loved the world that he gave his own son. Yeah. And we are to be Christ to people. We are to show grace and mercy, and we speak truth, but we can't be hateful. And I think bashing is to let the political candidates, if they want to do it. I don't like it. I would rather pay close attention to all of the issues, and I just think politics has gone really dirty.
Frank?
The denomination I grew up in, talked to you about before the show, I can say in all the years I'm 59 years old, all the years I've ever attended, I never heard a minister on our pulpit get up and endorse a candidate, nor even, I don't even recall ever encouraging to vote. Do you, kind of going back to your last response, do you encourage participation in the, in the civic process? I mean, God upholds governments. God told Pilate, you'd have no power over me if God hadn't granted it to you.
Absolutely. I absolutely tell people, be involved. In fact, run for office. If you're an upright, moral person, then get in the office, not just national offices, but local governments, city councils, school boards. We need people of faith that have moral fiber to be shaping policy, procedure, education, and everything by being involved.
But it's not your place, in your opinion, as a preacher or as a minister of the gospel, to endorse a candidate.
I never have endorsed a candidate.
Yeah.
Never. And it's not that I don't have an opinion. Don't get me wrong. But again, as a church, our job is to bring Jesus. And if you push people away because suddenly the church is about pushing a political candidate to change our society through an election, I think we're upside down on that, because I don't think an election is going to change a society. Sure. This president is not what we need. It's not politics. It's not what we need. What we need is preaching the truth. It's by the foolishness of the preaching of the cross that man is saved. When light comes, darkness is exposed. And we live in America where darkness is pervading and darkness is winning. And when love and hate and bashing is the voice of the Christian church, we're never going to permeate society and change them. People are changed when they see the reality of Jesus Christ in our lives, not just in our words, not just in what we're against, but what we're for and how we love. And you have to love the unlovable and love the people you differ with. I'm really against bashing other religions. I hate that. I don't want to bash as Protestants, sometimes you hear them bash a Catholic, or as and I hate that. I think that's the worst thing. I don't think that makes Jesus happy. I think speaking truth, talking like long years ago in the synagogues, the rabbis, they would discuss every day. They differ. We have the record of it. And I think that's a good thing to debate, but let's be centered on Christ. He was born of a virgin. He lived a sinless life. He died on the cross. He was buried and he rose again. And by his power of his grace, he lives inside of us. And I think a lot of people believe the Christ on the outside, but has never had the power of grace change them on the inside. I always say grace is not just a word of definition that says, oh, free ticket to heaven. No, grace is, Bill Gothard, Youth Conflicts years ago, used to say it was God's power that comes in, that changes your heart to give you a new desire for God, for his will to be done, and then gives you power to live out his will. And so that's where I come from. We just, as Christians and churches, we need pastors that'll speak it like it is and not be afraid to run people off that don't want to live for God and to stand up for Christ, because this election is not going to change America. I don't care which one gets it. Its history is as it is. The darkness will keep pervading until the church rises up and becomes the light and salt that we need to have. But I didn't come on here to talk about this. I came on here to talk about this bonds of, the pornography addiction problem that we're going to have a conference to help pastors.
Well, you can blame me for this again as well.
That's all right, Coach. It is your fault.
that one's easy. You can easily blame Tom Coates for that one. Pastor James Weaver is our guest from New Hope Assembly, and I appreciate your words there. It's one of the struggles that we have in our day right now, and just as a reminder, we are going to talk about Breaking the Bonds, a one-day conference addressing the power of sex addiction. We're going to talk about that here in a few minutes, but I also want to remind people, if you need a laugh, you need just a good laugh. This Sunday night, comedian Brad Stein is going to be at New Hope Assembly right here in Urbandale. Tickets, it's a event free. Just free will offering. Free will offering is going to be offered. So that's this Sunday night at New Hope Assembly of God in Urbandale. You can find out more about it. In fact, I just noticed Brad Stein put it on his Facebook page, announced it to the whole world.
Wow, how about that?
Look at there. Urbandale's on the map, man.
Man, oh man.
Look, we're like big time now.
That's right.
We're all uptown and all that.
Yeah. So while I'm on here, let me just might as well alienate your listeners even more toward me. I'm a Baylor Bear. I played basketball at Baylor. I was rooting for Baylor against Iowa State. I was there. But here's the deal. When Baylor's not playing Iowa State or Iowa, I always refer to Iowa State and Iowa both. And so I want to send my sympathy out to all you Cyclone fans from Saturday's game, and pray that God will bless you. And could he please give you a little grace to forgive us Baylor Bear fans?
Well, was it you that made the difference on that game? There was some intervention on that.
No, I don't think so. I don't think God cares about football the way we do.
Well, there you go. Well, when we come back, Pastor Weaver, we are going to talk about this. We talked a little bit about it in before the show started. Sexual addiction is incredibly powerful, and you said something to me in the break that I think is worth, or before the broadcast, that I think is really worth repeating, and that is sex addiction at the moment of pleasure. We're going to talk about real stuff here for just a second. That moment is more addictive than any drug, any alcohol. Whether Tom Coates is passionate about speaking against the dangers of gambling. None of these compare to the power of sexual addiction, and it's destroying young people and adults in the United States. And we have to figure out how we can come against this, and actually get our hands around it. What's going on? What's causing this? And why has it got such a stranglehold on us? We're going to talk about that a little bit more when we come back with Pastor James Weaver right here on The Truth 99.3 FM.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fix them problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Good afternoon. About 20 minutes before the top of the hour, we'll have a Salem Radio Network news break, and then Hank, the Bible Answer Man, will come on next, and he'll be able to answer any of your biblical questions. You know, I'm Chris Roloff filling in for J. Michael McCoy, and I can tell you, as a program director here at 99.3 FM, nothing puts a bigger smile on my face than hearing our national broadcasters say, let's go to the phones where so-and-so from West Des Moines or from Urbandale or from Grimes or from Ames is calling in. I just love hearing that you guys are participating in all the shows, not just here on Max World, where we love to hear your voice when you call us at 515-244-0077 or when you send us a text at 515-809-0993. But hearing you call into these national shows is just a complete blast because I know that they're ministering to you. It means you go to those guys for answers. Well, here on Max World Live, we like to give you more questions to ask. What we like to do is we like to stir the bucket a little bit and get you thinking about something that maybe you haven't thought about in a while. And for the remainder of the broadcast, we have Frank is here, Bob is here, Jeb is here, but we also have Pastor James Weaver from New Life.
New Hope.
I'm sorry, I got the New Life Counseling thing up there. From New Hope Assembly of God right here in Urbandale. And they're going to be hosting, along with New Life Counseling and Celebrate Recovery, a Breaking the Bonds of Pornography and Sexual Addiction Training Conference. It's for pastors, teachers, counselors, social workers, church members, church workers, recovery leaders, and for parents and grandparents who really want to understand the bond that pornography and any kind of sexual addiction has on each and every one of us. Their presenter is Marnie Faree. She is a certified sex addiction therapist. She is an executive and clinical director of the Bethesda Workshops in Nashville. And now, New Life Counseling, Dr. Don Gilbert, will he be speaking as well, or is he?
He'll be there. I think it's Marnie. This is a one-day workshop I attended a couple months back. I drove to Nashville one day and back 2 days later. It's a one-day conference, and it's not so much for people that have a sexual addiction or a pornography addiction. It's for people who want to help people make a difference, to understand the chemical, physical addiction of just one thing that happens at the moment of pleasure, which is dopamine being released. Dopamine, they say, is 30 times more addictive than heroin. And there's also endorphins. Every stimulant in your body at the moment of pleasure is highlighted, is increased, is just soars. And so wherever you're getting your moments of pleasure from, you get addicted to. And, one thing that I realize from a biblical viewpoint is that God demands for us to stay pure until we're married. Why? So that when you do consummate your marriage in the bedroom, you're addicted to your spouse. What better thing is that? You think pleasure, you think your spouse. And that's exactly why God made it so addictive, so you would go through the natural beauty of what God has given you to your forever spouse that is sanctioned and made holy by God. And so, but it is addictive, and it's a problem. As a pastor, we know there are big problems. We deal with it, and I encourage all of my pastor friends to come. It's $25. You can go to eventbrite.com, sign up for it there. Just look up, what is it? Breaking the Bonds, I believe.
Breaking the Bonds. Yeah, if you go to eventbrite.com and you enter Breaking the Bonds, you'll find it right away. It's in Urbandale. It's Tuesday, October 25th. It's easy to remember. It's $25 for this conference. It's all day from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. The $25 gets you fed for lunch, and it gets you the notebook, which is an incredible workbook. Again, especially for pastors and counselors and people who deal with this on the front lines, but really, for parents and grandparents that want to understand this better. And Pastor Weaver, you pointed out that if this is not so much for the person who has a sexual addiction or the person who is addicted to pornography, but for those who care about someone who is addicted to this. And you made the statement there, 30 times more powerful, that moment of pleasure, as they say.
Addictive than heroin.
It's more addictive, 30 times more addictive than heroin, which is absolutely incredible. Mac talked a lot about the power of alcohol, the power of drug. He would do a show very frequently on how these addictions are destroying people's lives. And in our culture, we seem to just gloss over sex. Well, that's fine. Everybody has sex with people. That's no big deal. It's not that destructive. But as you just pointed out, when two people have sex, that moment of pleasure releases these endorphins, all these chemical reactions, all this kind of stuff, and people become addicted to one another. And if you do that in a casual way, just from a sex standpoint, that's going to be very destructive if you just willy-nilly go in and out of that.
Well, several things happen. Number one, if you have moments of pleasure here and there, say you're on pornography, you look at this woman, this one, that one, what you're doing is watering down the glue. You're watering down the glue so that you are addicted to multiple people and multiple experiences, and you can't be satisfied with one person, and you ruin how God wired you to be fulfilled in that one relationship. When I was a kid, no one ever told me, no one ever warned me. And of course, back then, the Playboy came out, and it was mild compared to what's available today. But we weren't warned, and so you get caught. When I went to college, what was on the wall? My roommate, boom, there's a centerfold up there. I'm looking at that. I've never experienced that. I didn't know what to do with it. Things went off inside me, my head, and everything else. And but I didn't have this information. And I'm telling you, grandparents and parents need to have information so that they can convince their kids, don't take a look, turn the other way, because this is a huge problem. As pastors know it, we deal with it almost weekly.
Pastor James Weaver is our guest. If you know someone that you love and you suspect they're addicted to pornography, or you know they are addicted to pornography, you can go and give us a call right now. If you'd like to talk to Pastor James Weaver, we'd be happy to talk with you. If you've got questions about the conference itself, it's a one-day conference coming up on October 25th. That's a Tuesday. Give us a call at 515-244-0077. It's 515-244-0077. Or send us a text question at 515-809-0993. That text line sponsored by our good friends at Service Legends. And Frank, you've got a quick question here before we go to break.
Well, I've heard it said that, David didn't sin when he innocently stumbled on his rooftop and caught Bathsheba in some stage of dress bathing. The sin started when he started hanging around to enjoy the view. So that's what you're saying when, God made sex. Sex is not bad. But somehow Satan has perverted the institution.
For sure.
And twisted it to his benefit.
We're born sinners. People talk about we're born this way by nature. We're either born heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual. We're born natural. But in reality, we're born sinful, and our sinfulness causes us to be greedy, causes us to be selfish, and it twists everything that is there. So our human sexuality is messed up unless God fixes it. And then he gives us the word, and then when he reveals truth to us, he gives us the Spirit to be able to follow it. So you're right. You have to know. Turn your eye. Don't look.
So that leads to the inevitable question when you bring up being born that way. There is, I suppose, God was born with no propensity to sin. So I suppose there is cases that people are born with genetic dispositions towards an opposite sex, but it's like me being born with the disposition to gamble. I make a choice when I walk in Prairie Meadows. I may be predisposed to gamble. I think it came down through my family genes that I probably would be predisposed in that way towards horse racing. I've never been addicted to gambling. I come close to being addicted to gambling, but I made conscious decisions to do things that I knew I probably shouldn't be doing. So it's the same thing with homosexuality, bisexuality. You may have some disposition, but acting on it is going against the Word of God, correct?
Well, I believe there's a moral code that's biblical, that is one man and one woman for life. However, God forgives people. People do get confused. We have a culture that's giving them a different message. And the only answer for darkness is light. And light has to be permeated with God. God is love. Light has to have love. If light is truth, right? Well, we have to live it, say it, but it has to be love. No one's ever changed with truth that is harsh. It has to be God's love. It changes people.
Pastor James Weaver is our guest from New Hope Assembly in Urbandale, and we're talking about the Breaking the Bonds Conference, how you can understand sexual addiction. It's coming up Tuesday, October 25th. Go to eventbrite.com to get details and buy your tickets right now. We're on 99.3 FM, The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids? Yeah!
If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
10 minutes before the top of the hour, we'll have Salem Radio Network News to let us know what's going on. Just a quick reminder, I'm sure you're going to hear about this when we hit the top of the hour news break, that Hurricane Matthew is continuing to move. I haven't, Bob, have you checked out any more about that. I don't know any new stuff. We've been in studio now for the last 2 hours, so I haven't been looking that up. But I have expressed interest in this. I have family members in Florida. Of course, we've got radio stations in South Carolina and North Carolina. So we're watching this. I know a lot of people are watching this. So please continue to pray for friends, family, for all the people up on the East Coast as they get affected by this. Of course, it's already done incredible damage. Port-au-Prince was once again hit hard by Hurricane Matthew. So continue to pray for those folks. Today on Mac's World Live, this is Chris Roloff filling in for Mac. He's out right now. We miss him. We hope he's having a good time. I don't know what he's doing. He's probably jogging. He's into jogging now. I'm kidding. Can you imagine Mac jogging? I cannot imagine Mac jogging. I don't even imagine if Picasso, his dog, takes off running. I don't even think that he would go chase. He would just yell, "Picasso, get back here!" Picasso. Anyway, a couple minutes before the top of the hour, Pastor James Weaver complimented me right before we started the broadcast, and then I did this goofiness, and now you're thinking to yourself, well...
No, I think you're pretty awesome, actually, on the radio. I enjoy it.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, it's a good job, and thank you so much for joining us today on Mac's World. We really hope to have you on again, talking about all kinds of different stuff. Really appreciated your perspective on reminding all of us as we get closer and closer to Election Day to remember to love our Christian brothers and sisters, to pray for one another, and to love each other, because we're going to spend eternity. This was a radical idea for me. We're going to spend all of eternity with our brothers and sisters in Christ. Right?
Well, and the thing of it is my point is, you go back to that political thing, is that, there just seems to be a lot of venom being spewed, coming both sides. Not everyone, again, but enough so that it's hurtful. And I want to remind people, you're a Christian. I look at this prayer here in your room that just says we ought to keep this focus. Thank you, Jesus, that you don't deal with me according to my sins, but rather you remove them and my guilt and shame as far as the east is from the west, and remember them no more. And you're the source of my worth and value, my security and significance. I think that's awesome, and I think we need to remember that every believer, every child of God is the same. And sometimes you just go, well, if they're for, if that person is for Hillary, they're just, how could they be a Christian? Or if that person's for Trump, how could they be a Christian? I just want to say that maybe we need to do more praying, less talking, communicate issues of why we're for different people, and be careful, because it seems like there's a lot of divisiveness going on and hatred, and I don't like to see that among Christians.
Absolutely. Well, and we're no stranger to this when we think about sexual addiction and pornography. Same thing. You guys were talking a little bit in the break and before we went into the break about sexual attraction amongst same-sex folks and how this works and different things like that. And sexual addiction, there's a lot of what we're talking about. It doesn't matter if you're homosexual or a heterosexual.
Right.
Being addicted to sex can be a destructive thing. Yep. It's, the world lies to us and tells us it's okay. They say, just have sex with anybody you want, but that's a bold-faced lie, and it's destructive. And you guys are hosting an event called Breaking the Bonds with Marnie Faree. She's with Bethesda Workshops out of Nashville. And Pastor James Weaver, you got to go to one of these events and see this firsthand, and you
I wanted to bring it to the Midwest, because in Nashville they have group after group, Sexaholics Anonymous.
Right.
And there are many people who have been freed and realize that just like another support group for alcohol or gambling or whatever, these people that have this problem, it's so powerful, they need accountability. They need to realize that it's not just a matter of, well, lust is wrong, so I got to quit it because, I'm going to repent. Yes, God can change you, but listen, the enemy's going to pull because of the chemical addiction in your body to this problem.
Right, and that's part of, I think, something that we need as Christians, especially pastors, church leaders, youth workers especially. I think this would be incredibly critical for any youth pastor, especially a pastor who's dealing with middle school age kids. You talk with fifth graders at your church. There's no limit to how far this is reaching. And if pastors and teachers and counselors can be informed and understand the power of sexual addiction, what's actually going on, they can learn how to help people walk through this, help people understand how to get help. And you're going to be doing that, teaching on that. Not you particularly, you're going to be there at New Hope Assembly of God in Urbandale. I encourage people, it's October 25th on Tuesday. Breaking the Bonds is the name of the event. You can get tickets at Eventbrite, and you do have a Facebook event as well.
Yeah, and I was just going to mention that Celebrate Recoveries in the town are also co-sponsoring in Iowa, as well as Dr. Gilbert with New Life Counseling.
Perfect. And Frank, we got like 3 minutes.
Well, besides self-survival, is there, in a young man or young woman's vital years, is there any drive any stronger than the sex drive?
I don't think so. It's no. I'm a man, so I'm going to answer from that perspective. It's pretty strong, and the deal is you deal with people that they're sincere. They've broken their man, perhaps it's broken their wife's heart, and they really want to change, and they don't realize it's a chemical thing, and they think, well, what's wrong with me? They think, am I demon possessed? What's wrong? Here's what's wrong. You got a chemical addiction. You need repentance. You need scripture. You need to soak your mind in God, walk with God, but you also need accountability because it is an addiction chemically in your body. And this is what Dr. Marnie is going to bring to us in this. And I hope that the grandparents and parents will come so that you can teach these things to your children to say, don't look, don't get involved. Because what happens is older brothers and sisters leave stuff up, the kids find it, and kids are finding it younger and younger on the computer because they're on the computer. And when they've had an older brother or their father or someone's left it there, and I'll have kids that are brokenhearted because they saw stuff, they're like 10 years old. It's a shame. This is an epidemic, and they say 35-40% of women now are addicted to sex.
Well, and I want to point out that Marnie Faree, who's the speaker at this event, she is not speaking as an outsider.
No,
she is speaking as someone who had an incredible sex addiction, and
yes.
she is open and blunt about that, and she's going to speak frankly about this. We had our staff, Robbie Dillmore, who a lot of people know is a Christian car guy. He does some other programs for our national outfit as well, and Robbie Dillmore, the Christian car guy, actually got to interview Marnie Faree and heard her story firsthand. She is an incredible, powerful speaker who doesn't speak as an outsider again, but who's someone who understands the powerful addiction that is sexual addiction, that is being involved in this stuff. So if you're in any place where you counsel with young people, if you're a pastor at any age level, I really encourage you to go to this. You can find out all the information on Facebook. There's a Breaking the Bonds Facebook event that you can see it at. I think if you go to New Hope, if you go to your website, you go to the New Life Counseling website. The tickets are available at Eventbrite. Again, that gets you a lunch. It gets you the workbook. This is an incredible event coming up Tuesday, October 25th. It's only $25 for an all-day conference. And Pastor James Weaver, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, our church is funding it. It's just the cost is for the workbook and the lunch, and we appreciate it if everyone would cooperate and let us. It's just not about church denominations or anything. It's about coming together as a Christian community to help us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This has been, we say this a lot, Bob. We used to say this more. But today, I feel like I just sat down to start the broadcast. It started like 2 hours ago. This was an absolutely wild day.
Goes fast.
My head feels like it's going to explode with all the information we just learned today. Absolutely incredible. And more's coming. Salem Radio Network News is next.